So today I'm going to be building my first ever PC. I'm super excited. Shout out to Crater. He gave me the build design. Well, he didn't give it to me personally. It's on his YouTube channel. But build design and the how-to of how to do it. So let's give it a shot. So let me get everything out of the way. First, we're starting with the Asus Prime B650 plus Wi-Fi ATX motherboard. I got this little kit, this screwdriver kit from Amazon for computers. My dad insisted that I get it, so there it is. I didn't really know how to use it, but we powered through. So this is the motherboard. As you can see, I was scared to even touch it because I don't know, I just didn't know how soft or tough you can be with these pieces. So I pulled it out and I thought it was so beautiful. There's a box of stuff that I'm going to need later, but I decided to make it harder on myself and leave it in the box until I needed it. Alright, now we have the AMD Ryzen 5 7800X 6-core 12-thread processor. It's a pretty sick CPU. I tried to use the screwdriver to open the box and it fell out. So clearly I know what I'm doing. So we got the box open. That is a theme throughout this video, is that I don't know how to open boxes. But we learn. So we pulled out the CPU, showed it to the camera, super cute. I opened the CPU and once again I was scared to even touch it. So we open the CPU slot and just gently drop the CPU in, give it a little wiggle to make sure it is safe and secure, and then you push the little lever back. You will feel tension when you pull the lever back, but that's normal, so don't worry about it. Alright, so we clean off our work area a little bit, move the box, and now we have the ID Cooling FX240 INF Pink Edition. It's a 240mm liquid CPU cooler. I picked this one because it's pink and pretty and I liked it. Once again, struggling to open the box. So we pull it out. I was struggling to even get it out the box, but I think I'm just weak. So yeah, look how pretty it is. And open the box, remove the styrofoam and stuff. And there is the cooler. It's so pretty. Remove all of the plastic wrap, obviously, to get started. Still pulling off plastic wrap. And we have metal ties on the cooler. Make sure you take those off because the metal ties can scrape up the CPU and damage some stuff. So you just want, or not the CPU, the motherboard. So you just want to make sure you take those off before you put it near the motherboard. I don't know why I keep saying CPU. Okay, we're still taking off the plastic wrap. Honestly, this part was kind of my favorite part. I think the cooler is so pretty. And on the actual piece that you put on the CPU, it's an infinity mirror, which is super cool. So yeah, we take it out the box, and one second, I said I had to make sure I was doing things correctly. That happens a lot also throughout this video. I have to make sure every 3 seconds that I'm doing things right because I am terrified of messing up and having the computer not work and then having to redo it all, so I had to check a lot. So this box came from I want to say the case, and we have the brackets that we need for the cooler. So here I am trying to figure out which screwdriver part to use. I really had no idea how to use this kit, and that was not right. So we try another one. Pretty sure this one doesn't work either. Let's take a look. Yeah, I didn't. So I went and grabbed my trusty Phillips head from my little home kit that I have in my apartment, and I used that and it worked perfectly. So yeah, you want to unscrew all 4 screws to the brackets so that we can put the new brackets on for the cooler. And I put all my pieces in little piles to make sure that I don't lose anything or it doesn't fall on the floor and I lose it forever. Alright, there is the standoff we need to put in those 4 holes in order to put the new brackets in so that the cooler sits on top of it correctly. Alright, nice job. We did it. Good stuff. Alright, now we want to put the brackets on. The brackets, the curved part of the bracket faces towards the CPU. That's the correct way to put it. So it should curve up towards the CPU. Then we put our other pieces of the screws back into the area there. And make sure they're tight. Your screwdriver will stop screwing, for lack of a better word, once it's in correctly. So that's kind of a fail-safe for you, which I enjoyed because I never know if the screws are tight enough. And I ended up using a little, I think I ended up finding a screw head that actually worked for these pieces. And I know I used my whole fist to screw that last one in, but my hands are just weak. So that's why it looked kind of intense, but oh hi. All right, now we have the Arctic MX4 thermal paste. Thermal paste is used to keep the CPU cool. Obviously it's gonna get hot when it's working overtime to do all the things you need in your daily computer life. So yeah, it keeps it cool. There is a lot of debate over the pea-sized thermal paste in the middle, or if you scrape it along the edges, or there's a bunch of debate about it, but I did the pea-size because my dad does it and that's what Crater does. And now we're moving on to placing the cooler on top of the CPU. This part I struggled with a little bit. I did get eye level with the cooler. Oh, let me just block the camera with my big old head. And I did struggle with this a little bit, trying to get it even with both sides of the screws. The screw that I'm doing now and the other side, and I'm blocking it again. I had to get real close and personal with that, so I was like, let's make my life easier and turn it instead of having to lean over. So I tried to screw this one in, but it just like wasn't going in for some reason. I tried to push down on it, but once again I was really scared to like push down too hard. I ended up getting my screwdriver and I did have to push kind of hard to get it in, but eventually we got there. So you want to go back and forth with these screws to make sure that the thermal paste is like evenly distributed. So you go back and forth to make sure it's tight and to make sure it's evenly distributed. All right, now we're moving on to the Team Group T Create Expert 32 gigabyte RAM. So we have 2 of them, so there's 16 gigabytes in each of them. Once again, struggling to open the packaging. I don't know why I was struggling so hard, but I was. It's all right though. So you want to unclip the second slot and the 4th slot, because that's where both of those pieces are going. Finally got it out, and this part I also struggled with a little bit. Oh, and then I hit my desk. That happens a lot too. I hit my desk and it rises on its own. So I was trying to push it down into the slot when it wasn't in correctly to begin with. So you want to make sure that each part is in, and then you push down equal force Yay, we got the first one in. And then the second one hit my desk again. And second one, push down equal force. Nice, we did it. Woo! Good stuff. All right, now we have the Clevcross C910 1TB Gen 4 M2 SSD. From what I hear, this is a pretty good SSD. We have to remove the previous, like, I don't know what it's called, the previous piece that's there in order to put the new one in. So I was able to find the correct screw head and unscrew it. This one screw was like kind of temperamental. I was trying to unscrew it with my fingers though, and I should have just unscrewed all of it with my screwdriver. Got that first piece out, and then second one, pull off that piece, and the screw got stuck. So I had to unscrew it more. And all right, now we put the the SSD in there. We place it on top, and I thought I was right with my thumbs up, but I was wrong. We have to put a standoff in first to make sure that it's like even. It's on one side's not lower than the other side, I guess. And here it comes to bite me in the butt, where I should have taken out that box of supplies from the motherboard box. So we grab that, rip it out, and it had the standoff that we needed. Now we put the SSD in and make sure it lines up with the hole so that when we screw it in, it's all lined up. Another thumbs up for you guys. You're welcome. Put in the comments how many thumbs up are in this video. Alright, and then we screw it in to secure it. Struggled with that. That happens a lot throughout this video, is me dropping screws and my head covering the camera. You're welcome for that too. Alright, so we pull off the film and we can put on the cover to the SSD. Woohoo! I tried to line it up evenly and I still messed it up. I was looking at it from like top up and trying to line it up, and then I realized that I needed to line it up with the holes, not like center it on it, which I think both are the same thing, but whatever, you get the drift. Alright, we screw that guy in. And my head's covering the camera again. Listen, this is my first time filming anything, and I only had one camera, which was my phone. So I tried my best. Alright, so now we have the case, and we're unscrewing all the zip ties, because the zip ties can, like I said before, can scrape up the motherboard and ruin it almost. So you want to make sure you get all the metal ties out of there. There's a bag of stuff we will use later. All these cords, they were very intimidating at first, but it ended up being pretty simple once I broke it down. Okay, so here is when I was trying to replace the fans that came with the case with new fans that I had, but they ended up being the wrong fans. They weren't the right color. I wanted to get pink fans to match the rest of it, and the cords were just not long enough to reach the, I don't know, I guess the back. So I ended up just nixing that idea, and I just screwed back the original fan. Okay, now we're going to put in the metal piece that goes in the back that has all your ports. I struggled with this bit quite a bit, honestly, because once again I just wasn't using enough force because I was scared of breaking things. So I was pushing it in, but it wasn't clipping, and I knew it wasn't right because I wasn't hearing that click noise. So, but I kept trying, which is the theme of this video, is just keep trying. You'll figure it out eventually. I put it in, I was like, oh, that doesn't seem right. And of course it fell. So then I take a look at it and I was like, am I putting it in the right way? Confused. And my head covering it. You're welcome. And I clipped it in. I think I did it. Alright, now we're putting the motherboard in the case. So this part is actually fairly easy. You just have to line it up with the holes that are in the case. This case was already set up in the correct lineup, so that made it much easier for me. You want to line it up with the metal piece that has all the ports, make sure it's all lined up there, and then you line it up with the holes that are in the case. There are 3 on the bottom, 3 in the middle, and 3 on the top. And you want to make sure you kind of screw in 1 in each line. Like you don't want to screw all one line in at once, because then the lineup will get all messed up and then you'll have to unscrew it and start over. Now we're putting in the fans for the cooler. Yeah, you did see me, I pulled that screw out of my mouth. That is how you do it professionally. I'm pretty sure all professionals keep all screws in their mouth while they're doing it. You heard it here first. So I started screwing it in, and then I was like, wait, I think I did this wrong, because the fans are not in the correct position. So there I am unscrewing it, and I'm gonna move it up. There we go. Move it up so it's in the right position. I didn't realize there's like a bunch of different areas where you can put the screws. And those screws were, oh my gosh, they kept like flopping everywhere. It was very frustrating, but we got it figured out. Here I am struggling to open a box again. And here is the power supply. We have the Segotep 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply. It's fully modular, so not like the cords aren't connected, so you can connect them yourself, which is super nice. You want to look for the power cord, the PCI cord, which is the graphics cord, and the CPU cords. There's a bunch of other cords in there that you won't need, at least for this build. Alright, so we're plugging in the CPU cord. You're going to want to use the end that has the single plug-in, not the double plug-in. Plug that guy in. And the rest, it's labeled on the power supply, so you just grab the power cord and the PCI cord and plug it in there. I grabbed some pink and white cords from Crater. He makes his own cords, so those cords will be showing instead of the black ones, which make it look way prettier. I was trying to check because the cord side that you're supposed to use is 6 and 2, so 6 little prongs and then 2 prongs. So I was checking that, and then I ended up struggling to put it back together. This genuinely took me a long time. I sped it up because this took me so long to figure out how to put it back together. You can tell by my face. It was quite the adventure for me. So then you plug it into the corresponding cords and make sure it clips to make sure all the cords are connected so you don't have any issues later. Alright, now we're screwing in the power supply to secure it in the bottom. There are a couple different holes here to screw in the screws, and I ended up messing that up a couple times using the wrong holes, and I just should have looked closer at it, but we figured it out eventually. So you screw it in all 4 sides to secure the power supply in the bottom. And here I realized that I wasn't going to be using these screws. I was actually using different thumb screws, pink thumb screws for this part. And I didn't realize, or I didn't remember until after I struggled with screwing in all these screws. So that was super cool. But it was worth it to unscrew it because these pink thumb screws are so cute and they were much easier to screw in. Much easier. Especially because at this point I realized which holes I was supposed to be using. Make sure you don't screw in one of the thumb screws all the way because then the lineup gets all messed up. And I lost a thumb screw. There it is. So screw them in like halfway maybe, each one. And then once you get them all in, then you can tighten them one by one. All right, super fun part. We move on to cables. So first is the HD audio cable, and it actually says HD audio on the cable, so that was helpful. And we wire it through the bottom of the case into the HD audio port, which is on the left side on the bottom of the motherboard. Then we move on to, let's see, it's the JFP1 F panel cable, and we wire it through the bottom, and it's on the right side of the motherboard. Then we go on to the USB 3 cable and the USB-C cable. Once again, all of these things... Oh, there goes my desk. I must have clicked the standing thing. Once again, all of these cables are actually like labeled on the motherboard, which is super helpful if you're trying to do this on your own, like with no how-to or guide that you're watching. So that's super helpful. Also remember that you want to line up the cords straight on the pins so you don't bend the pins, and then push all the way in until you hear it click to make sure it's secure. Then we're doing our power cable and our CPU cable. This part I kind of struggled with. There wasn't much clearance, honestly, up top for me to get that CPU cable in. And once I got there, it wasn't really screwing in. You can see there I tried to look through the top because Crater was like, you can see through the top, but I couldn't see anything, to be honest. There I am checking to make sure it's the right cable because I was very confused why it wasn't going in. But I checked there to see which cord was plugged into the CPU slot on the power cord, or the power box, just to make sure I was doing it right. And then I ended up getting it in. Okay, so these are RGB like lights that you put into the case to make it pretty. Basically, it's just cosmetic, pretty stuff. Crater makes these himself. You can find them on Amazon. They're honestly pretty cheap and they're really easy to assemble. So that was cool. Alright, now we have the AMD Radeon graphics card. This graphics card is so pretty. You can see it's the 7800 XT. So pretty. I fell in love with this graphics card. You can see how quickly I'm trying to open it because I wanted to see it. Look at it, it's so pretty. The back, amazing. Amazing. So the side piece you have to unscrew in order to make room for the GPU. This one was screwed on super tight for some reason, so I had to use a little screwdriver, which luckily was able to get it unstuck, and I could just pull it out the rest of the way with my hand. And then you open that little slot in order to have room for the GPU. So there are two brackets on the top. It's the second and third brackets actually that you want to pop open. These were much like stiffer than I thought they would be, but I was able to pull them out eventually. Crater just makes it look so easy, or Joey makes it look so easy. So alright, so this is the part where we clip back the GPU slot and then we put our GPU in. I also struggled with this spot. It wasn't really lining up correctly. It just seemed like there wasn't enough room. But I ended up just having to mess with it a little bit and try to figure out how to get it in there. Yeah, honestly, when you're building these PCs, if it's your first time, you kind of just have to like mess around with it a while until it works. because you don't really know how things go. So you just have to keep trying until you get it. And then I ended up getting it. So, all right, this part you screw in 2 screws to secure the GPU into the piece that we opened earlier. My head blocking the camera. There's a little rubber piece on this thumb screw I pulled off to put on the pink one, and then we use the pink one to screw in the little slot we opened earlier to secure it. Alright, and then we get our last 2 cords, our 2 GPU cords, in order to have our graphics. So you just wire them through the bottom and then plug them in until it clips. There's the first one. I tried to do it from the back so you guys could keep seeing, but I had to turn it in order to get it through. Once again, please forgive me for the way I filmed this. I was using one camera, my phone, and it was my first time ever recording myself doing anything, so forgive me. Alright, second cord in. You can adjust them however you want, and then it's done. Alright, this is just some cord management. I had no idea what I was doing. I kind of just zip tied a bunch of stuff and then ended up shoving it in the bottom. I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it, so, but I did it. Got it all set up.
It works! No shot.
And this is the final setup. I got my monitors, I got my RGB keyboard. It's set to purple right now, but you can change it to any color. And I got my little figurine in there. So cute.